I paid my parents' bills for 5 years, every single month without fail. Rent, electricity, groceries, sometimes even their personal expenses. I never complained, I never hesitated, because in my mind, that's what you do for family, right? But the one time I asked them for help, just one night, one simple favor, they laughed at me. Not joked, not hesitated, laughed. And then they said something I'll never forget. "We're not your servants." That was the moment everything changed, because standing there, hearing those words after everything I had done for them, I realized something that hit harder than anything else. I wasn't their son, not really. I was just the one who paid their bills. And what happened after I decided to cut them off? I didn't expect it to go as far as it did. Just a few days later, they were standing outside my house, crying, begging, acting like everything had suddenly changed. But by them, it was too late. See, for years, I believed I was doing the right thing. I thought I was being a good son. My parents weren't in the best financial situation, and I was the one who stepped up. No one asked me to do it, I just did it. Month after month, year after year, I made sure they didn't have to worry about anything. Meanwhile, my sister, she didn't contribute a single thing. No money, no help, nothing. But somehow, she was still the favorite. She got the praise, the affection, the appreciation, while I got expectations. It became normal. If a bill needed to be paid, I handled it. If something went wrong, I fixed it. And if I ever thought about slowing down or saying no, there was always that quiet pressure, that unspoken guilt, reminding me that family comes first. And I believed it. For 5 years, I believed it. Until the night I needed them. Not money, not anything big, just help with my son for a few hours, something any parent would do without thinking twice. But instead of support, I got laughter. And that's when I finally understood the truth I had been ignoring for years. For 5 years, I carried responsibilities that were never supposed to be mine alone. It didn't start as something heavy. In the beginning, it felt natural, like the right thing to do. My parents were struggling financially, and I was just starting to do well enough to help. The first time I paid one of their bills, they were grateful. I still remember the way they thanked me, the way it felt like I was finally giving back for everything they had done for me growing up. That feeling stayed with me, and that's what made it so easy to keep saying yes. One bill turned into a few turned into most of them. Before I even realized it, I was covering almost everything. Rent, utilities, groceries, unexpected expenses. If something broke, I fixed it. If something was due, I paid it. It became routine. I didn't wait to be asked anymore, I just handled it. At first, I thought they appreciated it. Maybe they did in the beginning, but over time, something changed. The gratitude slowly faded, replaced with expectation. It was no longer thank you, it became you'll take care of it, right? And every time I heard that, I felt a small shift inside me, but I ignored it. What made it harder to ignore was my sister. She lived her life freely without any of the pressure I carried. She didn't contribute financially, she didn't help around the house, she wasn't expected to. And somehow, none of that mattered. My parents adored her. They praised her for the smallest things, defended her no matter what, and made excuses for her when she fell short. Meanwhile, everything I did was just normal, expected, invisible. I told myself it didn't matter. I wasn't helping for recognition. I was helping because they were my parents, because family comes first. That's what I had always believed. That's what I had always been taught. But belief doesn't stop exhaustion. There were nights I would sit alone, looking at my bank account, calculating how much I had left after covering their expenses. I cut back on things I wanted, delayed plans, took on extra work just to keep everything stable, and still I never complained to them, not once. Looking back now, I think part of me was afraid that if I stopped, even a little, everything would fall apart, or worse, that they would see me differently. So I kept going, even when the pressure built up, even when the imbalance became obvious, even when it started to feel less like love and more like obligation. Then my life changed. My son was born, and suddenly my priorities shifted in a way I couldn't ignore anymore. He became my world. Every decision I made, every dollar I spent, every bit of energy I had, it all revolved around him. And for the first time in years, I started to realize just how much I had been giving away. Still, I didn't stop helping my parents. I just tried to balance everything. It wasn't easy, but I managed. Until that one night. I had been running on empty for weeks. Work had been overwhelming, my son needed constant attention, and I hadn't had a moment to breathe. I wasn't asking for anything big, just a few hours, one evening where I could step away, clear my head, and recharge. So I called my parents. I explained the situation. I told them I just needed their help watching my son for one night, just a few hours. I thought it was a simple request, something any parent would be happy to do. There was a pause on the other end of the phone, and then they laughed. At first, I thought I had misunderstood. Maybe they thought I was joking, but they weren't laughing with me. They were laughing at me. I felt my chest tighten as I tried to process what was happening. I reminded them, gently, of everything I had done for them over the years, not in an accusatory way, just as context, as a way to say, I've always been there for you. I just need you to be there for me this once. That's when the tone changed. And then came the words I can still not forget. We're not your servants. It hit me harder than I expected, not because of the words themselves, but because of what they revealed. In that moment, everything became clear. All those years I thought I was helping out of love, they had seen it differently. To them, what I did was expected, normal, my role. But when I needed something, that crossed a line. I didn't argue, I didn't raise my voice, I just went quiet. Because deep down, I knew there was nothing I could say that would change what had just been exposed. After the call ended, I sat there for a long time, replaying everything in my head. Every bill I had paid, every sacrifice I had made, every time I chose them over myself. And for the first time, I asked myself a question I had been avoiding for years. Why? Why was I giving so much to people who wouldn't give even a fraction of it back? That night, something shifted inside me. Not anger, not even sadness, just clarity. The next day, I made a decision. I stopped. No announcements, no dramatic confrontation. I just stopped paying bills, stopped offering, stopped being the one they could rely on for everything. At first, it felt strange, almost wrong, like I was breaking some unspoken rule. The guilt crept in quickly, whispering that I was being selfish, that I was abandoning my family. But alongside that guilt, there was something else. Relief. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying their weight. I was focusing on my own life, my own responsibilities, my son. And slowly, that feeling of relief started to grow stronger than the guilt. Days passed. Then came the consequences. Days passed, and at first there was silence. No calls, no messages, nothing. It was strange, almost unsettling, considering how often they used to reach out, usually when something needed to be paid or handled. But reality caught up to them. A few days later, there was a knock on my door, and when I opened it, I wasn't prepared for what I saw. My parents were standing there, and they looked completely different. Not angry, not entitled, just desperate. My mother's eyes were red from crying, and my father, who had always carried himself with a certain pride, couldn't even look me in the eye. They started talking all at once. Bills were piling up, things hadn't been paid, they were stressed, overwhelmed, and didn't know what to do. And then came the words I never thought I'd hear from them. Apologies. Real ones. Not the kind wrapped in excuses, but the kind that came from realizing they had no other option. And that's when it hit me. Nothing had changed, just their situation. They weren't standing there because they suddenly understood how they had treated me. They were there because they needed me again, the same way they always had. For a moment, I just stood there listening. 5 years of effort, sacrifice, and silent exhaustion played back in my mind. All the times I chose them over myself, all the times I ignored the imbalance, and most of all, that moment, the laughter, the words, "We're not your servants." I realized something important right then. Helping family should come from love, not expectation. It should go both ways. And if it doesn't, it stops being love and starts being something